Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Adam Ship My Money Share as we get ready for a robust 15 Tuesday game slate, and I'm seeing a lot of weather out there. How you doing after the Windy City whirlwind? Shall we go for some alliteration there? How do you feel about the Monday night everybody playing Chicago strategy?
Yeah, I hated that. I hated that slate. I struggle with slates like that, just where I think that everyone's on the best plays. I ended up stacking like a lot of other teams and then just using the Cubs as mini stacks. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, mine was similar. I went half of what the Cubs did. I went about 70% of Atlanta, doubled down on the Yankees, and then had some surgically placed Rockies and who was the other one? The Rockies the White Sox. And we had the lineup didn't come out till after lock for the Rockies, so I lost most of my Rocky stacks here when I did late swapping. So only 4% Arenado. I had him at like 17%, but that's okay because I picked up a bunch of Chris Bryant. So anytime you can get somebody that's just outside of the top 25 hitters in baseball, you got to do it. That joke doesn't get old for me, by the way.
I've noticed.
All right. Well, let's dive in here. We're going to go game by game. We got quite a bit to talk about. Areas you want to be a little cognizant of for weather. That would be in New York. That would be in Philly. That would be Baltimore. Looks okay. Boston looks like there could be some. The Cubbies have potential for localized showers, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Looks like St. Louis is looking solid. So, maybe not as many spots as I thought. It's going to be 102 at first pitch in Arizona. Let's see. Is the roof scheduled? Now, sometimes they will change this if it gets too hot. It is scheduled to be open on Tuesday. That is a 6:40 local start. So, Adam, we've got a lot of excitement going on here. No Texas, no Coors Field, but some interesting spots nonetheless. Let's jump off with our first game here. It is Clayton Richard going against the Yankees. The Yankees do not have an announced starter yet. They could be utilizing one of their openers. CC Sabathia went on Monday, so we'll have to see what happens. They have a couple guys that have been coming out in semi-long relief of 4-inning stints. So we'll see. We should have more there, but that's really not going to affect us one way or the other. Clayton Richard, though, 4,800 is awful. The Yankees can get incredibly right-handed. They gave Edwin Encarnacion and who got the? Was it Judge who got the night off? Yeah, so those guys should be fresh as a daisy and loading up their lineup there. I'm guessing for you, no Richard, lots of Yankees bats.
Yeah, Richard really struggles with right-handed power, and that's pretty much all the Yankees have. So that's really all that I think you need to say.
I would concur. Let's punt on the Yankees. Get on to the Mets here. The Mets and Phillies. So we have Jake Arrieta. A couple sites had him listed as going on Monday, but they pushed everybody back a day, and things were off a little bit after their doubleheader and the weather and all that fun and games that they had with the Washington Nationals last week. But we have Arrieta at 7,600. That's a nice price point coming in against the Mets. The Mets are going to roll out with Walker Lockett. Not really a fan of Lockett. Let's talk about Arrieta for a second. He has come back much improved after his little break, his respite, if you will, from the majors, and he's been pretty solid for 4 or 5 starts here. Is this an improved trend, much like we've seen with John Gray last year when he got demoted to the minors for a couple turns?
I think Arrieta is still just Arrieta. He's kind of been the same guy for a couple years.
And how do you feel about him at 7,600 going against the Mets?
Not particularly interested. 3 left-handed bats probably at the top of the order, and then a bunch of righties. He's been much, much better against righties. If one of McNeil or Cano or Conforto sits, it would become a little bit more appealing. But still just, not really a high strikeout pitcher in a park that does play up power, and there's a ton of, pitching on the slate.
Oh, I got that backwards. It was Pivetta that went down, not Arrieta.
Yeah,
sorry. I'm still opening Windows here, and as soon as I saw Nick Pivetta pop up on the roster page, I'm like, shit. Was Pivetta that went down, not Arrieta. And now, even though I'm talking about it, I still filter down there to Pivetta instead of Arrieta. So let's just quickly look here. Let me see. Since the beginning of last season, of course, he, as you mentioned, he struggles against lefties. 360 WOBA, just shy of a 200 ISO, 11% or just shy of an 11% walk rate, 17% K rate. That is no bueno. You've got, what do we have? McNeil, Cano, Conforto are going to be the main characters there. Otherwise, a relatively righty lineup, mixing and matching. 15 games on our docket here. What that means, we have 30 pitchers to look at. He's going to be on, I don't know, he's going to be in the player pool till he gets crossed out. On the other side, we have Walker Lockett. He is someone that I have literally zero interest in whatsoever, but he is playing a Phillies team that is struggling mightily outside of Scott Kingery and perhaps Jay Bruce. Any thoughts there on Walker Lockett as he is 6,000?
He's just not very good. Had issues in his brief time in the majors with the Padres in the past. Wasn't great in his couple of outings at AAA this year. I don't really have interest. I'd rather get to what are still some very, very cheap Phillies bats. All
right. We've got, 26 more pitchers. Perhaps we will find one in this game. It is the Baltimore Orioles hosting the San Diego Padres. Pod Squad are going with Logan Allen, who I preemptively picked up in all of my season-long leagues to utilize for this start, Adam. Am I going to be happy or sad that I've got Logan Allen going against Baltimore?
I mean, outside of the fact that he's pitching in Camden Yards, it's a really good spot for him. Mancini being in the lineup makes it a little bit more difficult, but his minor league numbers are pretty decent. He had a very impressive first start against the Milwaukee Brewers, which is a much more difficult matchup than Baltimore gives us. He's, according to FanGraphs, he's right on the fringe of being a top 100 overall prospect. He's only 22 years old. Made 13 starts at AAA this season, struck out 24.5% of hitters, walked 8.6%. So pretty solid numbers there, especially when you consider that he is only 22. So, I mean, I think it's a good spot against the Orioles. He is priced up a bit on DraftKings to 8,100, but I still think that's a perfectly fine price tag for the matchup.
All right, and that's he actually is sitting in my shell lineup at the moment. I do agree, park factors a little bit rough there. It'll be 86 at first pitch here. We've got a slight breeze out there towards right field, not right center, but truly right towards the third baseline and shallow right field. But in any event, he is someone that's somewhat intriguing at 8,100. It looks like Jimmy Yacobonis is on the other side as the opener. He, let's see, pitched on the 22nd, he went 15, the 19th he went 31, the 17th he went 31. So he'll have had 3 days rest. I would expect 25, 30 pitches tops, maybe an inning and change. So we're not going to look at him, but do you have any idea who the probable long reliever may be?
DraftKings has it listed as Josh Rogers. FanGraphs, I'm not sure, has anyone listed other than Yacobonis. Rogers just pitched an inning on the 22nd, so
I thought he came in against the Mariners in one of the games I was watching.
Yeah, he pitched. Yeah, he threw one inning against the Mariners on the 22nd. He threw 3 innings against Oakland on the 19th. So, I mean, this would be basically if the Orioles were using that game against Seattle basically just as like a bullpen day, he'd be online to pitch this game.
Okay. That may be who it is from that standpoint. Regardless, this is more of a let's pick on them a little bit. I would assume we're looking at probably a righty as the probable long reliever. Is Rogers a righty?
Rogers is a lefty.
Oh, he's lefty. I was just looking up Dan Straley here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? He was designated for assignment on
Straley's not there anymore.
Damn it. He's in AAA Norfolk. I wonder if he's going to get a face-off with Fultonevich at some point there. We'll have to see. So Rogers is a lefty. That actually bodes well for the righty-heavy lineup here for the Pod Squad. Machado. Oh, wait. He's familiar with the batter's eye there in Baltimore. Am I burying the lead, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a good spot for him. It's a good spot for Renfroe and Reyes and everyone else.
All right, yikes. Continuing the yikes, Glen Sparkman coming in at 4,500. He is going against the Beebs here. The Beebs is going to be someone that we'll let you chat about for a moment because I know you have some thoughts on him. Sparkman lucked into a decent start against Minnesota. Somehow he managed to get 3 strikeouts, which tied his season high. But he went 7 innings, allowed 1 earned run on a solo shot, just 6 total base runners, and kept him off balance. Managed to go 7 innings. He is a guy who will get you 85 to 90 pitches. So I've mentioned this before when he's pitching on a per pitch price per pitch. He's not horrible. 4,500. We're going to think about him for a minute, but we do have a 5.8 implied run total here for Cleveland. So, it may be a little tricky. I'm guessing no Sparkman for you, but Bieber at 10.8 on DraftKings is coming in as the 4th most expensive pitcher there. On FanDuel, he is 9,800. That is the 3rd most expensive, and at 52 on Yahoo, he is the 3rd most expensive. How are you feeling about the Biebs?
Pretty decent spot for Bieber. It is a loaded slate, so that is a bit of an issue. Like, he's almost as expensive as Garrett Cole. Max Scherzer's more expensive, but on the slate as well. Bieber is really good. He has a good strikeout percentage. He's struck out 31.5% this year, only walked 5.8%. He has really struggled with home runs. So I think if you're not going to Bieber, looking for, or at least being willing to take some one-off shots from the middle of the order on Kansas City makes sense.
Right. Let me see here. And it's a definite no for you on Sparkman, right?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the fact he's 4,500 and might get into like a lineup or something.
All right. Now we got a couple of more intriguing pitchers here. Washington Nationals in Miami. We have the Marlins coming out with Trevor Richards. He is at 8,000. You have Max Scherzer at 12,400. You know what? That feels appropriate. Miami coming in with a 2.8 implied run total. No word on if the roof is going to be open or not, but it looks like it's going to be 81 in Miami, so we'll have to check. That's about the break point, and sometimes they do have the roof open on weekdays here. Adam, Max Scherzer, tippy top across the board. He is 12-2 on FanDuel. Cole is 11-5, and then as we mentioned, Bieber at 9,800. Scherzer is 63 on Yahoo. Cole is 56. The Biebs is 52, and then Scherzer leads the way again on DraftKings, wrapping it up 12,400. Are you going to get to him today? This is the matchup of matchups for him.
Yeah, I would think I get there. I mean, it's obviously not going to be that easy, but with 15 offenses going, with 30 pitchers, you can certainly find some cheap arms to take chances on to pair with him. So clearly a really good matchup against. The only thing that would keep my exposure to him down is that he has a much lower strikeout percentage than Garrett Cole, who on at least some sites is less expensive.
And that's fair. And then you also have the Nats bullpen that can somehow manage to give up any sort of win whatsoever. And the Marlins, break one off for them. They actually swept Philly in Philly. Only concern I have, and this isn't even a concern, I'm just going to point it out. This will be the 3rd time Scherzer has faced the Marlins. They've sort of had his number thus far. 11 1/3 innings. He's allowed 8 runs, 7 of them earned, only 1 home run. He does have 15 strikeouts in those 11 innings and just 1 walk. So to me, that feels more like he probably got BABIP to death. At that point, but 18 hits allowed over 11 and a 3rd inning. That is almost 20% of his hits allowed on the season. I think that's just got to be sequencing, right? Bad luck.
Yeah, I would assume so. I haven't gone back to look at previous starts against Miami.
I would think noise would be the other appropriate word. One was on the 27th. Let's see, 10 ground balls in that one. Gave up 7 hits though. That was a game where that did not give up the home run and just 6 strikeouts. And then time before that was in April. So that's fair. A long distance ago, way far away, shall we say. On this one, Trevor Richards going against the Nats, who have a 4.2 implied run total. Richards at 8,000, coming at a significant discount there to Bieber, to Scherzer, to Cole. Not always the easiest matchup here with the Nationals, but they're not as good as they have been in past seasons just because they're missing some of their more productive bats. Thoughts there on Trevor Richards at home? Let's assume the roof is closed.
I don't think I'll end up getting there just because it is a tough matchup. Not a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. Turner, Eaton, Rendon, all difficult to strike out. Suzuki's tough to strike out. And they also have a good lineup as well. So I don't think I'll get there. I'd rather just get to Logan Allen or Jack Flaherty, I think.
All right, that makes a fair amount of sense here. It's like the third time I've said that. Apparently, that is the crutch word of the night. Detroit, you get Jesse Chavez. You get Jesse Chavez at 5,300 against Detroit with a 4.5 implied run total. On the other side, we have Jordan Zimmerman. He's going against Texas. Texas carrying a 5.1 implied run total here. For the prices, we got to consider these pitchers just a little bit. Chavez going against Detroit is, well, matchups don't get much better than that. Let me see here. How stretched out is Chavez?
He threw 59 pitches last time out. They've said he's the 5th starter now.
Okay, so it makes sense that he'll probably get touched 70, maybe. Not the worst.
Yeah, that'll be my guess.
Not the worst way to go there. How do you feel about 70 pitches for 5,300 against Detroit?
Not great. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you get there, but mostly pitching out of the bullpen this year, still just a 19% strikeout percentage against righties, and you're going to get a predominantly right-handed lineup for Detroit. 223 ISO allowed, 354 WOBA allowed. He has much better strikeout numbers against lefties. If you go back to last season, 22.8% strikeout percentage against righties, so a bit better than this season. Still more power allowed to righties. So yeah, I mean, it's not something that I'm like actively targeting.
All right, and then on the other side, we have Jordan Zimmerman. That is 2 N's in Zimmerman. Someone that you've had your eye on from time to time, Adam, but he has been garbage lately. He ended up on the disabled list for the better part, well, from the end of April until last week. He'd been dealing with an elbow issue. Came back on the 19th, pitched in Pittsburgh, did go 75 pitches, allowed 3 runs on 5 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts. Yeah, he's not good. He was adequate once upon a time. Hell, he's got a no-hitter to his name. But I really don't feel like Zimmerman against Texas. I had forgotten that he had missed 6 weeks there due to injury. That's almost 2 months, I guess, 7.5 weeks.
Yeah, I don't have interest in Zimmerman here. I'd rather go to the Texas Power.
Excellent. Chicago White Sox. Do you have a White Sox listed starter? Baseball. MLB.com does not. What does the old DK have for us? Let's see.
They haven't announced the starter yet.
All right. Then let's not talk about it. But let's talk about David Price. 8,600. We're looking at a 70-degree first pitch temperature here against the White Sox. They get the back-to-back southpaws from Boston. We know that their power is going to be concentrated in Anderson, Abreu, McCann, and Jimenez. And then after that, it drops off dramatically, though they do not strike out. They still strike out a little bit below average, considering who is in their lineup. How are you feeling about an $8,600 David Price? Let me go look at some of the other sites here. He is 81 on FanDuel. That's about the 9th most expensive pitcher, and he's the 5th most expensive pitcher at 44 on Yahoo. If I'm going to play him, I think it would be on DK.
Yeah, the price tag on DraftKings is really nice. He's been good this year. 27.4% strikeout percentage is 8th on the slate. 7th if you exclude Jesse Chavez, since he's never mind. So it's higher than Chavez for the season. I had Chavez listed just with his starts or his previous starts. So Price has the 7th highest strikeout percentage on the slate. Only a 5.6% walk percentage. He's striking out righties. He's been legitimately good. The White Sox aren't the easiest matchup in the world, but not the worst either. 28.5% strikeout percentage against righties. So I do like Price at that salary. I'd rather roster Price at 8,600 than roster like Richards at 8K or something like that.
All right, that sounds fair. Moving along here, we've got the Chicago game now. It looks like the winds are dying down just a tick or two for Tuesday's forecast. Of course, we do not have implied run totals. Those will come out mid-morning on Tuesday. We're recording this on Monday, but it's going to be 80 degrees at first pitch. Looks like it's a 10 to 14 mile an hour wind, kind of out to center field. You have Max Fried, the lefty, going for Atlanta, and then Adbert Alzolay is going for Chicago. We all had a little bit of a moment with him last week when Alex, you know him as Osmo, said, "Hey, here's a guy that's coming in. He's going to be coming in relief. Decent prospect there for the Cubbies," and he had a great game. Sadly, the other chalky cheap pitchers did as well on that night, so it didn't really set us above the rest. But do you want to muck around with either of these guys in this kind of weather, being both heat and wind blowing out to center field?
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like that appealing of a spot when you consider the wind. Just from a strikeout upside standpoint, Alzolay is somewhat appealing. 36.5% strikeouts with only a 4.8% walk percentage at AAA this season. So he's appealing in that aspect. But the Braves are a really good offense. They don't strike out a lot, and the weather looks like it's not going to cooperate either for pitching. So, outside of just some tournament dart throws for the upside, I don't really have interest.
All right, that gets us to the halfway point here. We got 7 games to go. So reminder, if you have not yet signed up over there on Yahoo, what are you waiting for? It's a great site to play on. You don't have to worry about the mass multi-entry bandits there. 10 entry max in their largest contests, usually 1, 3, or 4 in their more moderately sized contests. Management fees, just 12%, unlike 16% at the other sites. And then they've been spawning every night shortly after lock a management fee free contest. It's a $3 tournament. It ranges in size from about 1,500 to about 2,500 people, depending on the day and slate. Definitely check that out. If you have not yet signed up, come on over to the homepage on Osmo. Look for that Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. Third paragraph is going to have link, instructions, and the promo code. Hey, the promo code's Osmo, where you can get up to $30 matched on your first deposit bonus. That comes in Yahoo Sports rewards points, which are available for immediate use in entry into any contest. So check that out. Come in on the link. Help us out. Use that promo code. Help yourself out. And again, that's for your first DFS deposit. So if you've already been playing season-long money leagues over there, that is a different portion of their site. If you have not made a DFS deposit, you should be eligible still. All right, Adam, the back half here of our games, going back to the 8 o'clock ones here. Blake Snell got knocked around there just a little bit in his last outing, but he's going against Kyle Gibson. Snell at 9,000 even. Gibson at 8,500. We have seen the Twins become a phenomenal team going against Southpaws this season. It looks like, who's their catcher? Is it Mitch Garver? Looks like he's still dealing with a sore heel. We may see Jason Castro in the lineup yet again. That's one ding. That's not really helpful to the Twins here. But how are you feeling about the Snell elevator? 9,000. It's going to be 80 degrees at first pitch. Looks like an 8 to 10 mile an hour breeze out to right field.
The price tag's appealing, but there's a lot of reasonably priced guys in good spots on this slate. Snell gets another brutal matchup here. I think that I'll most likely end up not really getting to him in this game and just hoping that hoping he doesn't have a great game and that his price tag stays down going into his next start, which I don't know who it's against, but his last 4 starts have been, including the Minnesota one that, is coming up, will have been Minnesota, New York, the Angels, and Boston. So just brutal matchup on top of brutal matchup, and it's driving his price tag down. I don't think there's anything wrong with him or anything. It's just, another tough spot here. I'd rather just wait until the next one.
He will be playing Texas in Tropicana Field on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
All right, against Jesse Chavez. There you go. A couple familiar names there. On the other side, you have Kyle Gibson. Looks like Tampa Bay mostly healthy once again. That means they have a Brandon Lowe, Ji-Min Choi, Austin Meadows, Kevin Kiermaier. Those are some solid hitters from the right-hand side. From the left-hand side, Tommy Pham does a good job in same-handed matchups. Avisel Garcia, your mileage may vary, but he's an adequate hitter. How are you feeling about Kyle Gibson going against this squad that's carrying a 4.7 implied run total?
Kind of an interesting spot. Gibson, I think, is a decent pitcher, but Tampa Bay's got a lot of power too. And on this particular slate, Gibson doesn't really do it for me because of the price tag. Like, he's basically the same price as David Price. He's more expensive than Jack Flaherty. These are both guys with higher strikeout percentages. Andrew Heaney's in the same price range with a higher strikeout percentage. So it's just not really the slate that I want to get to him. Yeah,
and I was just looking at those same guys to see if there's anybody tempting on Yahoo, and it's that same crowd all right around each other within $4. So there'll be some decision points. It does mean that the popularity should be somewhat diffused. But on FanDuel, you can get Haney for what, $400 less. You could get, if you really wanted to get crazy, you could get Chris Bassett at 6,900. That's a pretty nice price. But we'll have to see there. A lot of choices here. A lot of choices. We started off with the lull, but now we're getting into the finding the dog with the least amount of fleece. I should have saved that joke for Bassett. Continuing, we have the Seattle Mariners in Milwaukee taking on the Brewers. Adam, the Brewers are carrying a 5.7 implied run total. That's probably because Marco Gonzalez is mediocre at best, but it's also probably because the Seattle Mariners have allowed the most runs in the entire league, and it's not even close. Their bullpen is awful. Their starters have been mediocre at best, but they are just getting hammered. And it's been fun when you're picking players against them. But boy, as a fan, it's been a tough one this season. How are you feeling about either Gonzalez or Zach Davies? Two kind of incredibly mediocre versions of each other. One righty, one lefty.
Yeah, not really interested in either one. Tough spot for Gonzalez going into Milwaukee against that offense. And then for Davies, Seattle not nearly as good an offense as Milwaukee, but Davies just a pitcher that doesn't really miss bats. Pretty mediocre pitcher as well. I don't really have interest in either side.
Yeah, that one's going to be a stay away there. Moving along here. Finally, we're getting to the better stuff here. Trevor Williams back in our lives. He is going against Houston. He is 7,800. Houston 5.4 implied run total, but Garrett Cole, you've mentioned him twice already. He is 11,500. That is the second most expensive pitcher on DraftKings. Yep, second most on DraftKings. He is second on FanDuel at 11.5, and he is second on Yahoo for the Triple Crown at 56. If you were going to sort of ballpark it, would you say 20, 25% of your lineups maybe with Garrett Cole?
If not more.
Give us a little thought behind that.
He's just the best DFS pitcher on the slate. He has a 38.2% strikeout percentage this season, which is almost 5 percentage points higher than Scherzer, who is at 33.8%. Like, Scherzer's amazing, but Cole's just been that much better. His xFIP is a half run better than Garrett Cole's. Walk percentage slightly worse. He gives up more home runs than Scherzer does, but that's not a huge concern either, especially when you're just talking about upside. And then he's less expensive as well. So I think I'll get to a lot of Cole. The only downside here is just that Pittsburgh has a low strikeout percentage against righties this year. Their active roster has struck out just 19.3% of the time with a 107 WRC plus. So that's obviously not good, but not good for Cole. But they do have 6 lefties in their projected lineup, which actually plays to Cole's favor. He has struck out 40.3% of lefties this year compared to 36.3% of righties. So not like he's, struggling against either side, but higher strikeout percentage against lefties.
All right, 4 to go. Couple more names that I know we're going to talk about, including in this next one here. Chris Bassett, 9,300. Wow. Who do they think he is? Frankie Montas? But you've got him going against a heavy righty lineup there in St. Louis. And, of course, that means Jack Flaherty will be batting. No DH there. On the other side, you have Jack Flaherty, 7,900. He's going against Oakland. It will be interesting to see if they have Chris Davis play the field, Adam. I don't think he's played the field more than half a dozen times thus far this year. How are you feeling about Flaherty? Let's assume Chris Davis is in the lineup, and I'm going to look up and see how many times he's played in the field here.
I like Flaherty a lot here. Oakland as a team doesn't strike out that much, which is kind of surprising, just given the type of offense that they are. But against right-handed pitching, their active roster, just a 21.1% strikeout percentage. But what really stands out, for one, is the price tag on Flaherty at just 7,900 on DraftKings. But the right-handed heavy lineup for Oakland, there's 7 righties in the projected lineup, including the pitcher. They lose their DH, as you mentioned. And overall this season, Flaherty has struck out 26.7% of hitters, but he actually has pretty drastic strikeout splits. He's struck out 31.8% of righties, 20.8% of lefties. So about 11 percentage points higher his strikeout percentage against righties than lefties. He's held righties to a 278 WOBA compared to 346 for lefties. He's allowed a 156 ISO to righties compared to 236 for lefties. So really just across the board, he's been dominant against right-handed hitters, and he's struggled against lefties. If we get the Oakland lineup that we're expecting or that they normally run out there, I think it's a good spot for Flaherty.
All right, this is just the second time this season that Davis will have been in an an NL park. That's through his 65 games that he's been in. You've got he played in 3 of them. So this was a series in Pittsburgh. He played the first game, played the whole thing, 6 at bats, and let's see, 3 walks, 3 runs scored, no hits. He played the second game, 4 at bats, so he stayed in the whole game, 2 hits. And then the third game, he started but came out in the second inning from that one. So he has played just 3 times. We'll have to see. He is capable of playing the field, but with the various maladies he's had throughout the season, Oakland may or may not use him. I suspect we'll see him in the field probably at least once in this series, Adam, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets pinch hit duty for 2 of them from that standpoint. Anything else you want to mention from either side here?
Nope, that's it from this one.
All right, we've got Ross Stripling and Robby Ray. We mentioned that the roof would be open. It's going to be 102 at first pitch here in Arizona. The Dodgers, of course, I usually prefer them when they are going against a righty, but they do have several notable hitters that do just fine against lefties. That would be Kike Hernandez, Justin Turner, Chris Taylor. Sadly, we don't have AJ Pollock, because that would have been, hey, a revenge spot here for him, but he's on the injured list. What do you want to do here with Robby Ray? 9,900 there on DraftKings, and the roof scheduled to be open.
I mean, he's appealing from the upside standpoint just because he does have the 30.6% strikeout percentage this year, but 11.5% walk percentage is the highest on the entire slate. He's facing a Dodgers team that is just really good. So, and he's pitching in Arizona with the roof open. So, not really that interested in Ray.
I'm looking at historically the Dodgers, because the NL West plays each other a lot here. I didn't mention David Freese. He'll probably get a shot in the lineup. He's on the
injured list.
Oh, is he? When did that happen?
Yesterday.
Okay. All right. Thank you. As I knew Corey Seager was on as well. So Freese was one of the better guys here against him. So he's of the active guys, he has allowed 4 home runs to the active guys on the Dodgers roster. Now, that doesn't mean a lot, but just not as many guys have seen him as I would have thought with Seager and Freese on the DL there. All right. On the other side, we don't know yet who is starting for the Dodgers. MLB.com says they're not sure. I see one site has Ross Stripling. What does DK have here? DK has Ross Stripling. So let's roll the dice that it's Ross Stripling. He has not been stretched out. He has been working out of the pen. Went 45 pitches in his last start. We do have Rich Hill on the DL. Actually not for a blister or a fingernail. It was a forearm tightness that landed him on the DL there. Any interest at all in Stripling? 7,700. Let's see if he's the minimum on Yahoo.
Yeah, the only way I'd be interested is if he's the minimum somewhere.
He's not listed, so let's see if he's in their player pool. Stripling. He is 34 on Yahoo, so no thank you. So there we go. That makes it easy. Not really excited to take hitters against him. He is a reasonably good pitcher, and so is a lot of the Dodgers bullpen there. So we'll have to see what shakes out and any other information that we gain throughout the day. The Rockies, we also don't know for sure who is going to be starting for them. I see Chichi Rodriguez listed on one site. What is
Chichi Gonzalez?
Chichi Gonzalez. Did I say Chichi? Chichi Rodriguez was a golfer, Adam. That was a long time ago. That was like when I was a little kid. He was a golfer, right up there with Lee Trevino. I'm sure you do not remember those names, but
I reckon. I know the names.
Chichi, he would wave the putter around like a sword, and then that was kind of his Zorro thing.
Okay.
If he'd make a good putt or something. But when I was a kid, I thought that was cool, because we only had 3 channels to watch TV on back then, Adam. But Chichi Gonzalez, how are you feeling about the San Francisco Giants opportunities going against Gonzalez here?
Yeah, I mean, his AAA numbers pretty mediocre. 20% strikeout percentage, just shy of a 10% walk percentage, 5.79 FIP. Nothing special here. The Giants don't strike out a lot. It is a really good park. There's nothing really like enticing about him.
No, Albuquerque Isotopes. That's all I got. He's 27. This will be his. Is this his major league debut, or did he get time in?
No,
he's been a really.
He was with the Rangers.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I knew I'd seen that name before. So yeah, not really exciting. Madison Bumgarner may or may not be traded before this game. He's angry with the Dodgers. Do you think he takes that out on the Rockies here? Particularly a semi-watered down Rockies team without Trevor Story, and Bumgarner's just 8,200. If we were willing to go with Drew Pomeranz at 6,700, how do you feel about Bumgarner at 8,200?
I think that Bumgarner is fine. I'd rather roster Bumgarner than Richards. I would rather roster Price than Bumgarner. So he kind of just like falls in the middle there. I think I would take Bumgarner over Gibson. I would take Flaherty over Bumgarner. Allen is probably pretty comparable because I think that Allen probably has a little bit more upside, but more risk as well. So kind of just a guy that I'll probably get to, in some lineups.
All right. And wrapping up our marathon session here, Adam, we have the Cincinnati Reds in Anaheim taking on the Angels. Tyler Mahle taking the bump there for Cincinnati. He is 7,200 on DK. Andrew Heaney, 8,800. Heaney came out blazing in his first couple starts. Clearly an impossible strikeout rate to keep up. Sadly, he had 28 strikeouts in his first, 17 innings and 3 starts. In his last 2 starts, he's gone 5 innings and 3 2/3. He has 4 total strikeouts. He has allowed 6 runs, 7 walks. He only had 3 walks in his first 3 starts. 7 here already. Went 99 and then 80 pitches in his last outing when he was just getting hammered there by Toronto. Both those were on the road. Do you think he can right himself in this matchup against Cincinnati?
I think it's an okay spot. He's just a guy where when he's on, he's really, really tough to hit. He's got that slider that he can just bury and get a lot of swings and misses. Cincinnati against left-handed pitching, though, just a 20.9% strikeout percentage this season. They have been below average in terms of production with an 88 WRC plus. So just kind of like a mediocre spot. I would say that I have Heaney behind David Price, kind of similar to like Bumgarner and Logan Allen.
All right. I think that is going to wrap it up. Any thoughts on Mahle?
He's really good, I think, but the Angels...
You've got to refresh Shohei Ohtani, who got day off Monday and didn't really play in the St. Louis series, so he should be loaded for bear.
Like Mahle showed kind of how good he has gotten in that start against the Astros, where it was like, man, I really like him, but he's facing the Astros and he still went out and was racking up strikeouts. But gets another one here with an Angels team that's only struck out 17.5% of the time against right-handed pitching, and they're well above average offense in terms of production. If we were getting a discount on Mahle, I would be kind of interested, but at 7,200, I just don't think I get there.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for us here. We got you through that in 40 minutes, so that's a yeoman's work there for us, Adam. Good job by you. You can follow Adam on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EmacDFS, and of course it's Osmo_COM. Check out the DFS strategy show. That will be at 9:30 on Tuesday morning. That will be Dave Loughran and Josh Engelman. And then, of course, we have the deep dive. That'll be at 4:45 because it's a 15-game slate. You will get Alex, Adam, and Laffy on that one. And then you'll get Live Before Lock taking you down the home stretch. I believe that will be Chris Baggs and Jay Kari on Tuesday. So with that, gamers, we got you covered wall to wall. Good stuff. Good free stuff. Use the promo code EARLYBIRD. Get 50% off any 1-month package. And by the way, that does now include the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Definitely go check that out. With that, gamers, good luck.